You find it on a Sunday night. Not looking for it, just cleaning out the drawer. A folded piece of paper, your handwriting, younger, more certain, the kind of certainty that doesn't know what it doesn't know yet. One line, underlined twice. $100,000 before 30. You check your phone. Your balance is $4,211. You are 29 years old. You fold the paper back. You don't throw it away. You just put it down and stand there for a moment. No tears, just math. And the silence that math makes when it has nothing good to say. You don't call anyone. You don't open YouTube to find someone telling you it's going to be okay. You open the calculator, not to check a bill, not to split a dinner, to look at something true. The number that comes back is not what you hoped, but it's what you needed. This is where it starts. Not at 22, not at 25, here, tonight, this drawer, this number. Salary, $68,000 a year. Net worth, negative $4,000. Student loan is still sitting there. A credit card balance you've been about to pay off for 8 months. $1,200 in savings that haven't moved since last winter. You open a compounding calculator. You type in what everyone says. Start at 25, $500 a month, 7%. 40 years. The number is large, comfortable. The kind of number that makes people feel like the system works. Then you delete 25, you type 31, the final number drops. Not a little, a lot. You run it again, same result. You close the laptop and go make coffee. Here's what those 6 missing years actually cost, not 6 years of contributions. That's not the real loss. The real loss is that the money you didn't invest at 25 was the money with the longest time to multiply. The earliest dollars are the most expensive dollars to skip. Nobody explained that at 25. At 25, you were learning that a salary disappears faster than it arrives. Nobody hands you a structure for keeping it. That good intentions and a checking account are not the same thing as a plan. So you didn't start. And then the years went. The instinct now is to feel behind. Behind is a feeling that arrives easily and helps with nothing. The question isn't how to recover what you lost. The question is what the next decade is worth, and whether you'll do something with it before it joins the one behind you. That night, you make a decision. Not a goal, not a plan. Not yet. A decision. They feel the same, they're not. You open a brokerage account, you open a Roth IRA, you move $400 in. It's not a triumphant amount, it's just the first dollar of yours that's working instead of waiting. You set the transfer to automatic. First of every month, before you can have an opinion about it. You buy one index fund. Total market, expense ratio 0.03%. You don't look at the price the next morning. The math doesn't care how you feel about it. That's the only thing that makes it fair. 6 months in, the account has $640 in it. You contributed $600, the market added $40. You could have made that in an afternoon of overtime. You know this, you stay anyway. This is the part nobody talks about, because there's nothing to talk about. No moment, no signal, no sign that anything is working. Just a number that moves slightly, up 1 week, down the next, up again. You check it every Sunday. Not from anxiety, more like checking the weather. Something you do without expecting much. Month 7, you cancel a subscription you forgot you were paying. $31 a month. Gone. Redirected. Month 9, you call the insurance company, renegotiate, recover $44 a month. Small leaks, sealed quietly. Every recovered dollar goes straight into the account. Nobody sees this. Nobody asks about it. There's no version of this story that works at a dinner party. Your savings rate crosses 18%. Still, no feeling of progress. Just the habit. Just the account running while you live your actual life. Then one evening, something small happens. You're eating dinner alone. You realize you haven't thought about the account in 4 days. Not from forgetting, not from giving up. Because it had become background, like electricity, like the water bill. Something that runs without needing you to watch it. That's the real shift at 31. Not the number, the relationship. You stop treating the account like a project. It becomes infrastructure, not a decision you make every month. A decision you made once. Age 32. Net worth crosses $20,000. You close the app, you go make dinner. Not because it doesn't matter, Because you've learned that the numbers that matter most are the ones you don't need to celebrate. They just need to keep moving. And this one is moving. The most expensive habit isn't what you spend, it's the decision you keep postponing. You change jobs. New title, new office, new salary, $91,000 a year. You do not upgrade the apartment. You do not lease a new car. You do not do anything that the previous version of you would have done with a number like that. The entire difference between the old salary and the new one, after taxes, roughly $1,400 a month, goes straight into the investment account. That's it. That's the whole move. It doesn't look like anything from the outside. Same apartment, same car, same grocery store, same lunch. A coworker gets a similar offer around the same time. He moves into a 2-bedroom in a better neighborhood, new furniture, weekend trips, a life that looks like the salary. 14 months later, he mentions he's tight on cash. You don't say anything. Here's what's actually happening inside the numbers. Savings rate, 31%. Not because you earn more, because you refuse to let the spending follow the income up the stairs. That's the only move. And almost nobody makes it. Most people don't fail because they earn too little. They fail because every raise gets spent before it arrives. The apartment upgrade, the car lease, the subscriptions that appear quietly after the direct deposit grow. Nobody announces they're choosing comfort over capital. It just happens. One reasonable decision at a time. Lifestyle inflation destroys more retirements than market crashes. Nobody talks about this because nobody wants to hear it. You know this now, not from reading it, from watching it happen to everyone around you in real time. But here's what nobody prepares you for at 33. The quiet version is lonely in a specific way. You're at dinner with old friends. Someone bought a house. Someone just got back from Japan. Someone is talking about the renovation. You have nothing equivalent to say. You are building something nobody can see, something with no photos, no address, no story that lands over pasta. A friend asks where you went for vacation. You say you stayed home. They look at you the way people look when they think they understand something they don't. You don't explain. Explaining requires numbers. Numbers require context. Context creates distance. And you already have enough distance. You refill your glass and ask about the renovation. Net worth at 33, $71,000. The account is growing whether you check it or not. You check it anyway. Once a week. Sunday evening. 2 minutes. Not from anxiety. From something closer to respect. The way you check on something you've built and want to make sure is still standing. It's still standing. You stopped performing wealth and started building it. The two don't look the same from the outside. The portfolio hits $111,000. You notice it on a Tuesday morning. You close the app, go to work. 3 weeks later, the market starts dropping. Not a dip, a drop. Week 1, down 4%. Week 3, down 9%. By month 4, you've lost $22,000 on paper. By month 7, the number is $34,000. $34,000 gone. Not spent, not stolen, just gone. In a column marked unrealized loss. Like that makes it feel better. It doesn't. Then the second thing happens. Your manager calls you into a room on a Wednesday afternoon. 2 people you don't recognize. One of them has a folder. You know before you sit down, the role is being eliminated. Effective in 6 weeks. Severance is 8 weeks of pay. You thank them. You shake hands. You walk back to your desk and keep working for the rest of the afternoon because you don't know what else to do with your hands. You drive home and don't turn the radio on. Here's what it feels like to lose your job while your portfolio is down $34,000. It feels like the floor and the ceiling moved at the same time. The voice that said, "You don't have time for this," gets louder. Not panicked. Specific. You're 34 years old. You started 5 years late. You finally built something real. And now the income is gone, and the portfolio is bleeding, and the math that used to feel like progress feels like a question mark. A colleague your age sells everything that week. He tells you he can't afford to lose it. Not at his age. Not starting this late. That people like them don't get a second runway. You understand every word. You feel the pull of it in your own chest. You don't sell a single share. Here's what staying actually looks like. It's not calm. It's not confidence. You open the app, you see the number. Something tightens. You close the app, you put the phone face down, you go make coffee, you come back. You open it again, you don't sell. Not because you're brave, because you made the decision before any of this arrived. Before the layoff, before Wednesday afternoon with the folder, that decision was the only thing that held. You will find the next job in 11 weeks. Not the job you wanted. A step sideways, salary slightly lower, but the floor is back. The income is back. The automatic transfer had paused for 2 months. You restarted on the first of the month. $400. Same as always. Like nothing happened, except everything happened, and the account is still there. Every share is still there. 18 months later, the portfolio passes where it began, 111,000, then 120, then 131. The colleague who sold everything is still climbing back toward a number he used to have. Those are months he cannot spend twice. That's the difference between a plan and a hope. A hope asks you to be strong when things break. A plan doesn't need you to be. Net worth at 35, $128,000. Rebuilt, held, still moving. Discipline isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision made before the fear arrived. This is the year nobody warns you about. Not the crash, not the layoff, not the slow months where nothing moves. This year, it starts in February. Your father calls on a Tuesday evening. His voice is different. Not panic, something quieter than panic. He needs a procedure. Insurance covers most of it. Most is not all. The gap is $8,400. You wired it the next morning. No hesitation. Not because it doesn't hurt the account, because there was never a version of this where you said no. The portfolio flinches. You don't. April. The company reorganizes. Your role doesn't disappear this time, but the team around it does. 3 people gone in one afternoon. Their work was distributed quietly across whoever remained, including you. You don't complain. You perform calmly in every meeting for the next 4 months. Steady voice, measured answers, the floor is moving, and nobody can know that you know. You interview during lunch breaks, quietly, carefully. You land the next role in August. Same title, slightly less money. You take it, because the alternative was staying somewhere that had already decided what you were worth. September. A relationship ends. 3 years, not dramatic, not sudden. The kind of ending that happens slowly and then all at once. One ordinary evening, one honest conversation, then silence where something used to be. You don't talk about it at work. You don't post about it. You just carry it the way you carry everything this year. Here's what this year costs. You contribute less than half of what you planned. The target was $23,000. You manage $9,400. The projection moves, not by months, by more than a year. You open the spreadsheet in November. You look at the new date, you laugh. Not happily, just you laugh. Because the spreadsheet modeled the contributions, it modeled the returns, it modeled the compounding. It didn't model February. It didn't model the 4 months of performing calmly. It didn't model September. It didn't model any of the years that actually happened. This is the thing about starting late that nobody says out loud. You don't build in a vacuum. You build a life. And a life at 36 is heavier than a life at 22. Parents who need things. Relationships with history. Jobs that reorganize without asking permission. The 22-year-old builds in an open space. Few walls, few obligations. When things break, it costs money. That's all. You build in the middle of everything. Every dollar saved is a dollar navigated past something else that needed it. Every contribution is a small act of insistence against a life that keeps presenting reasons to stop. The portfolio grows anyway. Not because of what you contributed this year. Because of what you contributed in the 4 years before it. The account doesn't stop compounding because your year got hard. It just keeps running. Quietly. Without asking how you're doing. Net worth at 36, $174,000. You didn't hit the target. The target moved. You keep going. Not because you feel like it, because stopping has a cost you already know. You paid it once. You're not paying it again. One more thing about this year. Your father is recovering. Slower than before. But recovering. You were there for the parts that mattered. The drive to the appointment, the waiting room, the phone calls at 9 in the evening when he just wanted to hear a voice. The spreadsheet didn't model any of that. It was still the most important return of the year. The spreadsheet models your money. It doesn't model your year. Something changes at 37, not in you, in the way things respond to you. The portfolio crossed $200,000 in March. You close the app, make coffee, go to work. Then an email arrives, different from the ones before. Not a credit card offer, not a savings reminder, a wealth management consultation, complimentary, a named advisor, a direct line. You stare at it for a moment. This is the same bank that put you on hold for 38 minutes 2 years ago when you called about a fee. Same institution, same building probably. Nothing changed about you. The number changed, and the number crossed a threshold the system had set long before you arrived. You just didn't know where it was until you passed it. The system doesn't punish the late starter, it just ignores them until the numbers say otherwise. Then a friend calls. Someone you've known for 10 years, smart, trustworthy, the kind of person whose judgment you've never had reason to question. He has a deal. A small logistics company. Private. Growing. Bridge capital as needed. 12 months. Projected return 18%. Minimum commitment $12,000. You ask 3 questions. He answers 2 of them well and 1 of them vaguely. You notice the vague answer. You don't push on it. You wire the $12,000. Not from greed, from trust. There's a difference. It doesn't matter as much as you think it does when the outcome is the same. 4 months later, the updates stop coming. You email your friend. He responds quickly. Everything is fine. Minor delays, normal for the early stage. 8 months later, the updates stop again. This time the response takes 4 days. The tone is different. Careful. The kind of care that means someone has talked to a lawyer before writing. The company is restructuring. Your position is subordinated. Recovery timeline unclear. You close the email, you go stand at the window for a while. Here's what $12,000 actually buys you at 38. Not a loss. Not exactly. A lesson with a price tag. The difference between trusting a person and understanding a deal. You trusted the person, you didn't understand the deal. Those are not the same thing, and the $12,000 is the permanent reminder of the gap between them. Here's what you don't do. You don't pull back from everything. You don't close the accounts and move to cash. You don't let one bad deal rewrite the entire strategy. One wrong move at this level costs you $12,000 and a year of compounding on that amount. Contained. Real. Painful. Not catastrophic. The portfolio at 38 has grown by $19,000 in a single year from the shares you bought quietly over 7 years. The crash shares. The layoff months. The year the spreadsheet didn't model. The structure absorbed the mistake and kept running. That's what a structure does. It contains the damage. Net worth at 38, $219,000. Less than it would have been. More than it was. Still moving. Trust the person and miss the deal. Understand the deal, and you don't need to trust the person. You needed to learn that. You learned it. You are 39 years old. Net worth, $280,000. Last month, the portfolio generated $2,300 on its own, more than you saved in any single month at 22. Not from working, from waiting, from shares you bought quietly over 9 years and left alone. You close the laptop and go make dinner. Here's what the person who started at 22 has that you don't. Time, more of it, behind them and ahead of them, the long runway. The decades of compounding that start early and build slowly and arrive in enormous. You know this. You've always known this. But here's what you have that they don't. Clarity. Not the clarity of reading about something, the clarity of having paid the price of not doing it. You know exactly what the alternative looks like. You lived it for 6 years. You know the specific weight of a checking account that just sits there. The specific sound of a Sunday night with a number that doesn't move. You know what a crash feels like when you're also unemployed. You know what it costs to trust a person without understanding a deal. You know what a year looks like when 3 things break at once, and the spreadsheet can't model any of them. That knowledge is not motivational. It's structural. It changes how you make decisions under pressure. When the market drops and the voice says you don't have time, you've heard that voice before. You know what happens when you listen to it, so you don't. When the raise arrives and the apartment upgrade appears, you've seen where that road goes. So you don't take it. The 22-year-old builds with time. You build with the memory of what it costs to waste it. Both arrive, just differently. You run into an old friend at 40. Someone you knew at 25. Someone who started investing at 23. Someone you used to think of as ahead of you. He looks tired in a specific way. Over dinner he mentions he pulled most of his portfolio last year. Debt had accumulated slowly, the way it does when lifestyle and income grow together for 15 years without anyone keeping score. A car here, a renovation there. A few years of minimum payments on things that should have been paid off. He needed the money, so he took it. His portfolio and yours are now roughly the same size. Not because you caught up, because he came back down. Most people never become poor. They become expensive, slowly, quietly, one upgrade at a time, until the upgrades have been going on longer than the plan, and the plan has quietly stopped existing. You don't say any of this. You ask about his kids. You refill his glass. But on the drive home, you think about the drawer, the folded paper, the Sunday night at 29, when the distance between two numbers sat in the room with you. You think about what would have happened if you'd kept waiting. You think about it for exactly as long as the drive home takes. Then you stop. Here's the question nobody asked at 22. Not how much should I save? Not which fund should I pick? Not when should I start? The real question. The one underneath all the other questions. What kind of builder are you when nobody is watching, and nothing is working, and the numbers aren't moving, and there's no signal and no applause and no sign that any of it matters? That's the question. The answer isn't something you find in a calculator. It isn't something someone tells you. It's something you discover over 9 years of Sunday evenings and automatic transfers and market crashes and layoffs and bad deals and years the spreadsheet didn't model. You know your answer now. You found it the hard way. That's still finding it. Net worth at 40, $310,000. Monthly passive income, $2,300 and growing. Starting early only matters if you keep going. You started late and kept going. The math doesn't know the difference. You buy a house at 41, not impulsively, not emotionally. You run the numbers for 4 months, spreadsheets, scenarios, conservative estimates, and stress tests. The math works, clearly, comfortably. You make an offer, it's accepted. You sign the papers on a Thursday afternoon in a room that smells like printer toner and bad coffee. You drive home as a homeowner. 3 weeks later, the central bank raises interest rates, not a small raise, a significant one. The kind that moves markets and rewrites monthly payments across an entire economy. Your mortgage rate locks in at the new number. $412 more per month than the spreadsheet projected. You go back to the spreadsheet that night. Not in panic, in recalculation. Then you close the laptop and go stand in the kitchen of the house you just bought. It's quiet, it's yours. The walls don't care about interest rates. You make coffee, you go to bed. You reduce the monthly investment contribution from $1,800 to $900. Half. For a year. It's not a catastrophe. It feels like one for about 2 weeks. Then it becomes the new normal. The projection moves again. Further out. Third time a milestone date has slipped. You're getting used to the projection moving, not with defeat, with something more practical. The understanding that the plan was always a direction, not a guarantee. The water heater goes in March, $2,300. The roof needs work in September, $9,800 after negotiating. 4 weekends of your time to manage it. Rebuilding the emergency fund while carrying the higher mortgage, while running reduced contributions and managing a roof project on weekends. That's a specific kind of tired that doesn't show up on a balance sheet. But you don't sell the house. You don't cash out the portfolio. You adjust, you reduce, you continue. Age 42, a refinancing window opens. You move fast, new rate, lower monthly payment. The contribution goes back to $1,800 in April. You sit at the kitchen table in the house that cost you a year of full contributions and a roof and a water heater and $400 a month you didn't plan for. You look out the window at something that is yours. Not an account balance, not a projection, not a number on a screen, something with walls, something that holds the cold out. The spreadsheet never modeled what that feels like. Net worth at 42, $410,000. Lower than the projection, higher than last year. Still moving. The plan was always a direction, not a guarantee. The people who understand that keep going. The people who don't are still waiting for a year that goes according to plan. The offer arrives on a Monday morning. A company you respect. A role that fits. Equity package on top of a base salary that would have moved your timeline forward by 2 years, maybe 3. You run the numbers, you think about it for a week. You talk to 2 people whose judgment you trust. Then you turn it down. The reasons are real. The current role is stable. The team is good. The equity at the new company is early stage. Illiquid, uncertain, the kind that might be worth something or might be worth nothing, depending on variables you can't control. You make a reasonable decision. You stay. 2 years later, you find out the company IPO'd. Not a small IPO, a real one. The kind that appears in financial news for a week and becomes a data point people reference for years. The person who took the role you turned down walked away with stock worth more than you'd accumulated in 14 years of disciplined saving. You read the article on a Tuesday morning, you close the browser, you go make coffee. Here's what that feeling actually is. Not jealousy exactly, not regret exactly, something colder than both. The deals you didn't take haunt you differently from the deals you took and lost. A bad deal feels like bad luck. A missed deal feels like a choice, and choices have authors, and the author of this one is you. You made the reasonable decision. The reasonable decision was wrong, not because you reasoned poorly, because the outcome required information you didn't have and couldn't have had. You will make good decisions that turn out badly. The job is not to be right every time. The job is to still be in the game when the right ones arrive. You go back to work, not dramatically, not after a long walk or a conversation that reframes everything. You just go back to work, but you carry it. For a while. Here's what 44 actually looks like beyond the missed IPO. The portfolio hits $500,000 in September. You notice it on a Sunday evening. You check it twice. You close the app. You don't tell anyone. Not from modesty. Because the number exists in a context that requires the whole story to make sense. $500,000 is not a number you arrived at. It's a number you survived to. There's a difference. You feel it in the specific way you look at it. Not with pride. With something quieter than pride. Something that feels like, still here. The private investment email arrives again. Different fund, different structure, real estate, senior secured, quarterly distributions. You read every page, twice. You ask 6 questions. All 6 get answered specifically. You understand the deal before you trust the person. You wire $50,000. This time you know what you're buying. Net worth at 44, $520,000. Monthly passive income, $3,400. You will make good decisions that turn out badly. The job is not to be right every time. The job is to still be in the game when the right ones arrive. You are 45 years old. The portfolio generates $3,800 a month without you touching it. You still go to work on Monday morning. Not because you have to, because you chose to. And choosing to is different from having to in a way that changes how Monday morning feels. Same commute, same coffee, different weight, age 46. Last year the account generated $44,000 on its own. $44,000. Your first salary out of college was $34,000. You don't celebrate. You close the laptop and go stand in the kitchen for a while. Not from disbelief, from something that doesn't have a clean name. The recognition that the machine you built in the hardest years is now the primary engine. Not you. The machine. You've become the person who tends it, not the person who drives it. That transition happened quietly. No announcement, no moment. Just a gradual shift in who was doing most of the work. The bank calls on a Tuesday. Not automated. A person. His name is Richard. Dedicated relationship manager. Direct line. Available same day. You remember sitting on hold for 36 minutes 8 years ago to ask about a fee. Same bank, same building probably, different number in the system. You write down Richard's number. You don't mention the 36 minutes. Some things don't need to be said to be understood. Age 47. You find the paper again. Moving boxes. A drawer you haven't opened since the house. Folded exactly the way you left it at 29. Same crease, same handwriting, same line underlined twice, $100,000 before 30. You read it once. You laugh. Not bitterly, not triumphantly, just, you laugh. The way you laugh at something that was true once and is so far behind you now that the distance itself is almost funny. You fold it back, and this time you throw it away. Not with ceremony. Not with a speech you give yourself about how far you've come. Just a piece of paper that served its purpose, that sat in a drawer for 18 years and did exactly what it needed to do. It showed you the distance, and the distance made you move. Here's what the late start actually costs you. Real answer, not the motivational version. It costs you the earliest dollars, the ones with the longest runway. The ones that would have had 25 years to compound instead of 17. That gap is real. It shows in the numbers. It always will. It cost you the easier years. The years when the spreadsheet and life were lighter and less likely to collide. It costs you the version of arrival that comes at 41 instead of 47. The smooth linear climb. That story belongs to someone else. Here's what it didn't cost you. The destination. Different road. Steeper in places. Longer in others. Lit differently at every turn. Same room at the end. You're in it now. Through all of it. Still here. Here's what arrival actually looks like. Not a morning where you wake up and feel free. Not a moment where something clicks and the weight lifts. It's smaller than that. More ordinary. It's declining a project in October because it would cost 3 weekends, and the time doesn't justify it anymore. It's booking a flight without checking the price first. It's your father calling on a Wednesday afternoon and you leave the desk to take it. Not stepping out for 2 minutes. Actually leaving. Sitting somewhere quiet. Taking the whole call. It's a Monday morning that feels different, not because anything changed, but because you know you could leave if you wanted to. And knowing that changes everything about staying. These are not dramatic moments. Nobody films them, nobody posts about them. But they're the thing. The actual thing. The thing the spreadsheet was always pointing toward, but could never quite name. Net worth at 47, $710,000. Monthly passive income, $4,600. You earn more than that from work. For now. Maybe not forever. And forever stopped being the requirement somewhere around 44, when the math started holding on its own. You don't know exactly when you stopped feeling late. You just notice you haven't felt it in a long time. Late isn't a sentence, it's a starting position. The race was never timed the way you thought it was. Somewhere tonight, a person is cleaning out a drawer. They find a piece of paper, their own handwriting, a number they didn't reach, a version of themselves that was more certain than the current one. They stand there with it for a moment. They don't know yet that the distance between where they are and where that paper says they should be is not a verdict. They don't know that the crash is coming. And the layoff. And in year 3, things break at once. And the deal that costs them something. And the door they'll stand in front of not knowing which way to go. They don't know any of it. But they don't need to. The decision they make tonight, not at 22, not at 25, but tonight, is the only one still open. The paper doesn't tell them that. Papers don't. They fold it back, they put it down, they stand in the quiet for another moment. Then one of two things happens. They close the drawer, or they don't. The machine opens every morning. It has never once asked what year you started.